All right, the candles are lit, the night is drawing in, and we are right back there with King Shahryar. He's not held captive by chains, no, but by the masterful, irresistible stories of Scheherazade. And we've just arrived at the 32nd night.
So where are we? Well, we're diving right back into a story that's inside another story. The talkative barber is in the middle of his tale about his fifth brother, Al-Nashar. And this guy is lost in the most spectacular daydream you can possibly imagine. He's literally building an empire in his head, planning out a future of just unbelievable wealth. And look, this isn't just some quick little thought. He has planned this thing out to the very last detail. And we're joining him right at the climax of this fantasy. He's about to marry the Grand Vizier's daughter, and he has decided he needs to show everyone who's boss with an act of supreme arrogance. So picture this. In his mind, his beautiful new bride offers him a drink. But in this crazy power fantasy, what does he do? He scorns her, pushes her hand away, and then, to really seal the deal and show his authority, he physically acts out a powerful kick. And that kick, the one from his daydream, it lands. For real. Squarely on the one thing he actually owns in the real world. You just hear this devastating crash. His tray of glassware, his entire life savings, shatters on the ground. And just like that, the dream is over. Poof! He's left there weeping in the street over 100 dirhams of glittering shards. His whole future gone in a second.
But you know, just when you think it can't get any worse, just as he's hit absolute rock bottom, something happens. And this time, it's not a daydream. A stunningly beautiful noblewoman on a mule, surrounded by servants, sees him crying, takes pity on him, and sends one of her attendants over with a gift.
And we're not talking about a few coins for a meal here. No way. The servant hands him a purse, and it's heavy. It's got 500 gold dinars inside. I mean, can you even imagine? That is a life-changing amount of money. In a single moment, he goes from having nothing to being rich. The whiplash of fortune is so intense, it would make your head spin. So, a little later, there's a knock at his door. It's an old woman. She says she's a messenger from that same noble lady. Says the lady has taken a liking to him and wants to meet. Well, our guy is so over the moon, he's not even thinking straight. He grabs his new fortune and just follows the old woman through the city to this huge, magnificent mansion. And sure enough, there she is, the very same beautiful woman greeting him at the door. The second he steps inside, everything changes. The dream turns into a total nightmare. The lady gives him this strange little smile, and then she vanishes. A heavy door slams shut behind him. Clang! Locked. And then, out of the shadows, a monstrous slave appears, a drawn sword gleaming in the light. Yep, the trap just snapped shut. And then the ordeal begins. The slave strips him naked, and then delivers over 80 blows with the flat of his sword, beating him until he collapses. A servant girl then appears and rubs salt into all his bleeding wounds. Believing he's dead, they just drag his body down to a dark cellar and toss him onto a pile of other bodies. But get this, here's the ultimate irony. That very salt they used to maximize his pain, that's what actually saves his life. It stops the bleeding. So after lying there in the dark for 2 days, surrounded by the dead, he realizes he has the strength to move, to find a loose stone in the wall, and to escape. After nursing himself back to health, he is consumed by one thing and one thing only: revenge. He disguises himself as a wealthy merchant, fills a bag with broken glass so it jingles like gold coins, and tracks down that old woman. He baits the trap, and she leads him right back to the mansion. But this time, he's the predator. When the slave appears, he draws a hidden sword and cuts him down, before finding and executing the cruel lady and her wicked accomplice. But you'd think that's the end, right? Happy ending? Not a chance. He finds treasure and a captive girl in the house, but she tricks him and escapes with most of the gold. Then the governor finds out what happened, seizes the rest of the treasure, and exiles him. And to top it all off, on his way out of the city, he's attacked by bandits who cut off his ears. A truly miserable end for him. But the barber isn't done yet. He moves on to the tale of his sixth brother, who is a poor beggar. One day, starving, this brother wanders into the palace of a rich and powerful Barmecide lord, a man famous for having a peculiar sense of humor. So the stage is set for a truly bizarre encounter. On one side, you have the Barmecide lord, rich and powerful. On the other, a starving beggar. The lord sees how hungry the man is and invites him to a lavish feast. The only catch? None of it is real. He's testing the poor man's wit and patience. So the Lord starts ordering his servants to bring out these magnificent imaginary dishes. He's like, wash your hands, while miming the action. Ah, this bread is perfect. You must try these stuffed chickens, he exclaims. And the starving brother, realizing this is a test, plays along flawlessly, pretending to chew and savor every single delicious, non-existent bite.
This charade goes on for course after imaginary course. Finally, the Barmecide calls for wine. He mimes pouring a cup and handing it to the brother. The brother plays along, pretending to drink one cup, then a second, then a third. And it's here that the beggar's cleverness really shines through. He begins to sway, slurring his words, putting on a full performance of a man who is completely and belligerently drunk.
So, with all the force of a man overcome by potent, imaginary wine, the brother rears back and lands a resounding slap right across the Barmecide's neck. The Lord is furious, but the brother immediately apologizes. "My lord, you served me such powerful wine. I am your humble servant who lost his wits."
And with that, the barber finally finishes the tales of his 6 brothers. So now we're pulled back out of all those nested stories and returned to the court of the King of China. Remember, the barber has been accused of being a meddling fool who caused the death of the king's favorite hunchback jester. And now, he makes an absolutely shocking claim.
He looks at the body of the hunchback, which has been passed around all night like a grim parcel, and he addresses the king directly. He says, "Your Majesty, I assure you he is not dead, and I can prove it." A hush just falls over the entire court. What trick could this bizarre, talkative man possibly have left?
Well, the king is intrigued, so he orders them to bring the hunchback forward. The barber just produces a few simple items: a little pot of ointment, which he rubs on the man's neck, and a pair of iron tweezers. The entire court just leans in, watching his every move with a mix of total disbelief and anticipation.
The barber cradles the hunchback's head, opens his mouth, and carefully inserts the tweezers deep, deep down his throat. He probes for just a moment, feels them connect with something solid, gets a firm grip, and pulls.
And out comes a bloody piece of fish with a sharp bone stuck in it, the very thing that choked the jester. The moment it's removed, the hunchback lets out this massive sneeze. His eyes fly open, and he sits bolt upright, gasping for air. The man is alive. The court just erupts. The king is laughing so hard he nearly falls right off his throne. The hunchback stands up, looks around at the stunned faces of the tailor, the doctor, and everyone else who thought he was dead, and simply asks, "What on earth is going on?"
It is an incredible conclusion. The king, overjoyed, pardons everyone involved in the night's bizarre events. He showers them all with gifts, makes the hunchback his royal companion again, and promotes the clever barber to be his personal attendant. He orders the entire tangled story to be recorded for all time. But as dawn breaks, Scheherazade smiles and tells the king that this story, as amazing as it is nothing compared to the tale she has for him next.